If you're looking for a way to make football matches more exciting without throwing your money away this season, then you need to download Tipple. Tipple is a free-to-play prediction game built for fans of all 92 English League clubs, perfect to play with your mates while watching the football. Each week you'll be challenged to predict 6 correct results from 20 fixtures across the Premier League, Championship, League 1 and 2. And it's just the results. No scorelines, no budgets, no transfers, and no overthinking. So pick your 6, climb the table, and rule the group chat with Tipple. The link to download the app is in the description, and use code DCOK3U to join our Blues Focus League. Thank you to Tipple for sponsoring this video, and now back to the video. Welcome back to the Blues Focus podcast with me, Tommy Kelsall, Sam Sheppey, and Zach Woods. He is back. Lovely to have you back on, mate. How are we doing?
Thank you, mate. I'm very, very glad to be back. It's been such a long time. I mean, we were saying before recording, it's been literally months, but all weekend duties regarding other football clubs are all done now, so I can get back to watching Blues consistently. And what a season to start watching us properly again. Yeah, buzzing to be back, mate.
100%, man. Yeah, you've been doing a bit of work for the Blues Academy teams and Erswood Town as well. So, like, that's all come to a close now, unfortunately. But you're back on the channel. That's the most important thing. We're so happy to have you back.
It's good to be back. Good to be back.
And Sam, you're currently in sunny Spain at the moment. How hot is it there currently?
So when we landed, it was 46 degrees. So very hot at that time. It's cooled down a little bit now, but yeah, obviously repping the Blues top, you know, getting the name out there about us. And I mean, where I'm staying in Fuerteventura, there's a lot of like British people anyway. But yeah, we'll get on to like the story about when I watched the Blackburn game. But it was full of Blackburn fans at the front actually of where we were. And yeah, obviously when the goal went in, then it was
giving it the V's to them.
In Fuerteventura that we were Blues fans.
Exactly, running up. So, hey, get in. But yeah, obviously today we will obviously be talking about that crazy Lyndon Dykes winner from yesterday. One of the best away games I've ever had. It was easily one of the worst away games we've ever had before that penalty went in. And then within a couple of minutes, it was bloody brilliant all of a sudden. So yeah, it's weird how football works sometimes. We'll also be covering the Sheffield United Carabao Cup game. We've also got Port Vale in the second round. And then we've got Oxford United on Saturday. So yeah, loads to talk about, loads to cover. But yeah, let's start off with the Blackburn game yesterday. Utter carnage at the end. One of the most amazing feelings I've had in a long time supporting the Blues. I haven't celebrated like that for a long time. I mean, like, there was a couple of games last season, you know, like the Scott Wright finish right at the end against Wigan. That was pretty cool. But I think the sort of the meaning behind this one just felt a little bit more real, this did, because, you know, we haven't won at Ewood Park since 2013. I've never seen us win there. Amazingly, when that Lyndon Dykes goal went in yesterday, actually, I'd never even seen us take the lead at Ewood Park, so never mind even winning. So it was a fantastic end to a pretty standard championship game. I don't think we played terribly, but we didn't play particularly great at the same time. But Sam, kick us off as you were watching it in sunny Spain yesterday.
Yeah, and I think it was a game that you summed up well in your vlog, where it was like that happiness when the goal went in, but also like just full of like kind of anger, because it was like, just again, I thought the curse of Ewood Park was going to hit us, and they stifled us. Because if you look at the like statistics, you would say that we did dominate the game, and Chris Davis did say as much, like in his post-match interview, where there was that dominance, but it was just frustration really, because we weren't creating loads and loads of chances. So although we were having a lot of the ball, their keeper wasn't exactly making like save after save. But it was more so dominance in just the patterns of play and like possessional movement, and the fact that they took the lead when they did, and it was sort of came up with a pretty good goal. You do have to
very
admit,
good
goal.
Yeah,
put it into the corner of the net with a volley, and then he started doing all these little flicks in the corner of the pitch, didn't he? Where Ethan Laird was sort of up against him, and then like he was just doing all these little moves and that, and I was like, okay, let's see what happens a bit later on in the game, and then lo and behold, it's Ethan Laird that drives into the box, gets that penalty, and with Stansfield now, you do feel just confident that he's going to score. And there was like a period of time in League One where he just drilled the ball down the middle for penalties, but now he's putting them so far into the corner that doesn't even give the keeper a chance. And then, you know, they have a bit of a situation where like Blackburn have put a load of defenders on the pitch, we've put a load of attackers on the pitch. All of a sudden, there's chaos in the tactical area where Aaron Cashin's getting ready to come on. And they have a long throw, and then we counter from it. And Maury Gray sprints up the pitch, picks the perfect pass for Lyndon Dykes of all people from 0 to hero from the last league game, who gets the winner. And yeah, absolute pandemonium where I was watching the game, where my mum, my sister, and my brother's girlfriend were like down the other side of the bar, And then all of a sudden, just hear me and my dad and my brother just go, "Ah!" just shout, and the whole bar just looks at us, and we're just jumping around like absolute madmen because we've scored in the last minute. And yeah, finally the curse of Ewood Park is broken, and a great memory to have as well on this holiday. And 2 wins out of 2 since I've been here because we watched the Sheffield United game in a bar as well.
Oh, brilliant! Yeah, you're looking very tanned and very happy at the moment as well. So I suppose that's what
happy
Blues
with
in
my
the Sun
film.
does to you. Yeah, it was a fantastic moment. Obviously, if you've watched my blog, and if you haven't, what is wrong with you? Because that is genuinely one of the best videos I've ever made. But still, like, I just didn't know what I was doing. I genuinely, I'm up on the back of the chairs at one point, and I have no idea how I even got up on the back of the chairs. I was just like, I was watching it back whilst I was sort of walking back to the car. I was looking to go, how did I end up on the back of the chairs? Like, I don't remember that. Just utter pandemonium. So many happy fans as well, which is like the most relieving thing for me, because we've been there many years before, just like it all just felt like so grey and dull and, we're never really great. But like to see the happiness of all the fans, it's exhilarating. I don't know about you, Zach, but honestly, like the feel around the club at the moment is something that has just never been felt by Blues fans at all, has it?
No, it's ridiculous, and I think it's something that since I became a fan, I've never really experienced with Blues before. So to have this sort of club where we've been so used to it being so poorly mismanaged and poorly run and bad result after bad result, to have this happening, it almost doesn't feel like Blues. It feels, I mean, when you look at the owners that could have come in as well, everything that could have happened, it's just all fallen into place, hasn't it? And we're so unbelievably fortunate because if you look when we were last in the championship, and this is something I've been talking to with my dad quite a bit, the amount of times we come against teams and we play fairly well, we maybe be in the lead with 10, 20 minutes to go, and it would all falter because these teams have the quality, the players, the money, where they can bring on unbelievable talent and nick the game. Now we're becoming that team. Yesterday was a situation where we're able to bring on a couple of players, and that talent already on the pitch just turns it completely on its head. So it's unbelievable at Blues at the moment, and I'm appreciating every moment because things can go wrong. As amazing as things have been, it's a very result-based business. A few results that don't go our way, and things are looking very different. But at the moment, following an incredible League One season, a very positive start to this year's campaign, I mean, it's unbelievable. And to do it the way we did yesterday, as you said, Tommy and Sam, not the best performance leading up to it, but 2 90th minute goals. I mean, it's just incredible. And in that away end, Tommy, I bet it was just. I've seen some pictures of people who are literally on their heads, feet in the air, honestly. So it looked
I did see that. Honestly, yeah, it was amazing, yeah. But we could talk about it all day. Did you believe that we'd get those 2 goals, Zach?
Did I believe? No, I don't think I did. I think as time was ticking on, I started to think we're not going to do it here. And I think this is something we need to expect a little bit more of this season, is teams sitting deep and defending heavily against us, because we sort of characterise that as a League One thing. I still think it's going to continue in the Championship.
Good point, yeah.
And why wouldn't it? With the team we've got and the attacking threat we've got, teams are going to look at us and come into games and think, let's try get a point out of this. Let's try get them on the counter-attack. So we are going to face teams that are just going to sit back. But in the end, that Stansfield penalty, and I think when he scored that penalty, we're getting a bit greedy these days and thinking, come on, we can win this now, we can win this. And lo and behold, we did. So I didn't think it was going to happen, but I'm so glad it did.
Oh, yeah, honestly, yeah. I feel like it's a change in mentality, isn't it? Because I think years ago, I mean, we probably had that situation at Ewood Park before, actually, where we've got an equaliser and then thought, we'll just sit back and take it on the chin, really. But honestly, like the change in mentality is so rewarding to see, because you just didn't get that with previous Blues teams. Like now you've got Tommy Doyle, who didn't really play much of the game at all, comes on and he's like proper raring to go and everything, giving the fist bumps to the crowd and everything, patting players on the back. It's like, come on, let's go. And Jay, obviously, as well, he's always shown that massive amount of passion that he has for Blues and all the team that he has around him as well. And that's why it kind of feeds well in with the sort of the vibe around the club. It's just that every single bit of it just seems to be always thinking about winning and making ourselves better, because as we saw in the documentary, and obviously we've all watched it many times over now, it's that way of feeling about everything, like Tom Brady talks about it in training, so that when you come to the actual game, you've got everything prepared so that you can go and do things like that, and that would never have happened in previous Blues teams. That would have been, as we've had at Ewood Park before, actually, that might have been the equalising goal, that would have been, because we've been 2-0 down, and then Adams gets a goal, the equaliser a couple of years ago. But like to win it in that fashion is just don't ever see those type of things happen anymore. But yeah, it was a horrible game in a weird way because like Blackburn played like a typical championship team, didn't they? They came and they just frustrated us for the whole game. And to be fair to them, I suppose fair play, but in the end it didn't come off. You know, they paid the price for it in that way. And I think we deserved it really because we were looking to play the better football, and they just snatched a goal at the beginning of the second half. Really, that saying though, I don't think we were particularly great yesterday. I don't know about you, Sam, but like we just didn't seem to have the same sort of rhythm as we did in previous games, did we?
Yeah, I think part of that was like Blackburn stifling us, and I think it's that step up, isn't it, from League One to the Championship, where it's just going to take that bit more to break these teams down when they're kind of resolute. And you know, Blackburn last season they were right up in the playoff mix, weren't they, on the final game of the season? So they're a decent side, but I think with Blues yesterday, yeah, there was a couple of things that weren't quite right within the team. I feel like we'll get onto it about sort of like individual performances, but obviously the dynamic up front this season's a bit more different with Kyogo in there and with Stansfield. And I feel like them two are quite similar in their kind of stature. And I feel like with Marvin Dutch still to get ready and to get fit, he would have been someone that I imagine would have been introduced earlier on into the game. Whereas it was Lyndon Dykes that came on with about, well, 10 minutes of normal time to come. But I feel like with a fit and ready Marvin Dutch, he would have added sort of something a bit different up front, just a physical threat to, you know, really aim for. And I feel like I was calling out for Dykes actually in the game because I could kind of see it that with the Blackburn back three, you know, three big centre backs, it was hard to kind of break them down with the stature of the strikers that we had. So I feel like with Stansfield, obviously, you know, he's going to be really determined, get at him. There was one moment, wasn't there, in the corner where he just sort of was dribbling around and somehow managed to win a corner for us. And it was just grit and determination from him. But I feel like with Kyogo, he's a little bit different in the fact that perhaps he doesn't put himself around as much. He's kind of that fox in the box, but there wasn't a lot of service yesterday. So it's that different sort of area that we've got to look at where if it's not working with Kyogo, can we bring on someone else that offers something different up front?
Good point, yeah. I mean, like, I think the thing was about the way that we attacked yesterday is that we were just a little bit sloppy. And I feel like, and I hate to call out players that I really like, and well, not necessarily call out, I think that's the wrong word, but just pick up on the fact that a couple of their passes, like Paik and Iwata yesterday, they're just a little bit loose, you know. I don't think we had like that preciseness as we had in previous games, you know, where it was just into each player perfectly. And we found ourselves in a situation yesterday that we hadn't been in for a while, which was behind, but to a more of a solid team, you know. Blackburn, even though they do have troubles off the pitch, they've got good players at the end of the day, and players that would have been a higher quality to what we were used to last season up against League One teams. And it's difficult. It really is difficult because they sap all the life out of the game. You make a couple of mistakes and you feel like I've got to make up for it now, and then everything starts to squeeze in a bit more. And then I think the forward players started to starve a little bit because just of the way that Blackburn was starting to frustrate us, and we caused more issues, I think, in the end. But yeah, I agree. I think Marvin Dux, when he does come in, is going to offer something different up front. Because I think Kyogo had a really tough game to deal with yesterday, and I don't think he probably was the right fit. I think Tommy Dore would have been the right fit. I don't know about you, Zach, but I feel like he would have played in a different way. If we had more midfield options, we could work with that front three of like Anderson, Gray, and Stansfield then, couldn't we?
Yeah, and I think this is a beauty with this Blues team in that no one's irreplaceable. And if players are having a run of 2 or 3 games where they're not performing or they're not quite up to scratch or their usual levels, they can be bought out. If Pake's not performing, there's Doyle there. The wide players, there's backup. There's backup everywhere in this team. So Chris Davis is certainly not a manager that will allow poor performances. And I'm by no means saying the likes of Pake should be dropped after, you know, maybe a troublesome 20 minutes, whatever, yesterday. But the beauty is if some of these players are faltering in what is a very talented side, they can be dropped out quite quickly. And to have that backup and to have that depth in the squad is such a privilege, because if things aren't going our way, to have the luxury to bring on, I mean, if you look at our bench yesterday, it's ridiculous, isn't it? It's absolutely ridiculous. If you look at the team we put out against Sheffield United, which is a second string team, it's as good as it's better than the Championship team we had when we went down, isn't it? So there is so much talent in this Blues team. If anyone's not performing, if anyone's not bringing their weight in goal, that they can just be dropped and replaced. And football's a cutthroat industry, and we might see that a few times this season where, look at Ethan Laird. What a player Ethan Laird is. We bring in a Sai Samuel, and Ethan there was fantastic when he came on yesterday, but it's clear Asai Samuel's going to start every single game this season. So, to have this talent and to have so much squad depth is such a privilege. And if players aren't pulling their weight, they'll be dropped.
I know. I mean, that's a weird thing for us to be talking about, isn't it? But Davis has that, doesn't he? He's not afraid to pull the trigger on any player, really. So it might be something we have to get kind of used to, really. But yeah, let's talk a little bit about some of the individual performances then. I touched on it a little bit there. But Ethan Laird at left back and in the second half, Cochrane, who I don't know what happened to, actually. We might be able to find out a bit later. But like, he obviously it must have been some sort of injury or something like that. But yeah, interesting decision to swap him up for Laird.
Yeah. Chris Davis did say after the game that it was a knock and it's going to be assessed today. So we'll know the severity of it sort of later on next week. But left back is somewhere actually that he did play in his sort of younger days. I think when he went out on loan to like Swansea and MK Dons, he actually was a left back then and then switched to a right back. So it's a position that he's not like unfamiliar with, but he's unfamiliar, I suppose, in the blue system. But my word, did he make an impact on the game? Like he was someone that just was driving out players, really using his pace. And I feel like with Ethan Laird, he is a Premier League level athlete. That's what I feel. Like the athleticism of him, like the leap that he has. He's even a threat from set pieces, isn't he? We saw that Sheffield United goal that got disallowed where he just leaped up and headed the ball in. And I feel like he offers so much going forward. And the fact that he won the penalty when he did goes to show that he was determined right up until the 90th minute. And I feel like that determination swept throughout the team. And sort of, he really helped us get over the line.
Do you think he brought more to that left-hand side? Because Cochrane's a different type of fullback to Ethan Laird, isn't he? Where Laird's like properly bombing it up and down the left and right-hand side, don't they? Because he got Sai Samuel going up the other end as well. So I feel like he really caused some different issues for that Blackburn backline, didn't he?
Yeah, he did. And I feel like with Cochrane, he was so consistent for us last season. But yeah, I do feel like Laird is the better one going forward. Obviously, Cochrane with his crossing ability, I feel like that's his main focus. That goal for Stansford against Wrexham just goes to show like his range of crossing. I feel like yesterday's game, it wasn't really the game for loads of crosses in the air because of, as I said, the strike partnership that we had up front. So when we have those more physical threats and someone for Cochrane to properly aim at with his crosses, that's where his skill set is. But it just so happened that yesterday was a game more suited to Ethan Laird, someone with a bit of pace that can get at this Blackburn backline.
No, 100%, yeah.
I think we said before the podcast as well, didn't we? Ethan Laird cannot be forgotten or ignored by any means this season. I think we saw with Christian Bielik, he slowly started to lose his position in the side, and obviously he's now gone on to baggies, and I guess that's a bit more excusable given his age and all that sort of thing. But Ethan Laird is such a talented player. He's still so young. He's still got so much to give. And although it seems like, as we said, Asai Samuel will be the starting right back, Ethan Laird needs minutes regardless this season, whether it's with us, whether it's elsewhere, which I'm sure it won't be because, we still use him a hell of a lot. But he needs as many minutes as he can get because I think he's going to be a key player for us going forward. And if that means he's got to come on at left back and slightly out of position, that's absolutely fine because the more minutes a player like that is getting, someone who's on the books with us, someone who's young, so talented, he needs to be playing as much as possible.
Yeah, agreed. Yeah, I was going to talk a little bit about before we went on to some of the individual players, the referee, because it's 3 games back to back now, and I imagine it'll probably be by the end of the season 46 games back to back, where it's all just like the referees had an absolute shocker. But I don't understand it honestly. Like people who have been commenting on that vlog saying you've been swearing an awful lot in this one. Agreed, but also I am at the football and I'm incredibly working class as well. But still, I'm just saying that referee yesterday was the cause of so many issues where he could have just played on. But we've seen this in the Ipswich game and we saw it in the Sheffield United game. Like 2 goals clearly ruled out. Obviously, yesterday we were fortunate enough not to have a goal ruled out, which was a miracle really. Because the fact that we actually did manage to win that game in the end was frustrating us, just like a relief because the frustration we got from the referee is that every single little foul that was just being given, and it ruins the flow of the play, really. If in my opinion.
Yeah, I mean, certainly in the Ipswich game, it felt we were a little harshly done by, and yesterday it wasn't the greatest refereeing performances. Hopefully, these sort of things even themselves out come the end of the season, but. Yeah, it's incredibly frustrating when referees' decisions aren't going your way. But yeah, it's one of those. The point is we got over the line in the end, and that's all that matters. But yeah, some of these refereeing performances recently, geez, they are shocking, aren't they?
Oh God Almighty! Yeah. Last thing I'll talk about the Blackburn game, obviously, is the reaction from the players. when Dykes scores. I mean, I imagine we've all had the chance to have a look at that little clip that the Blues put out on their social media from earlier today. Honestly, like it's fantastic, isn't it? I mean, like there's so much happening in one scene. Obviously, the guy who was filming it, obviously, is just like got trampled on by all the fans and everything. You're just jumping over, and if he's dropping his phone, and someone's nearly stepping on his laptop. But then all of what's going on in front of him and everything, you got like Damari Gray, who I was thinking about this earlier, who, he's sort of like back in the real world now, isn't he? Because he's gone away to Saudi Arabia, made a load of money. But the differences in football culture is just so different, isn't it? So to get a 90th minute winner like that in front of Blues fans and everything, like that must just feel like the greatest feeling on earth. That just like celebrating with loads of great players and great people as well. You got Lyndon Dykes running in as well, who I think was so baffled that he'd scored. It's just like, what do I do now? I think he was expecting it, sort of like, how have I managed to get the winner in this game? It's unbelievable. But yeah, it's Jay who really makes me laugh, actually, because he runs. I don't know if anybody else picked this up, but he runs and he jumps in with the celebration and everything, because everything's all kicking off around him. He's sort of celebrating, and he has like 0.5 of a second where he's just stood there and sort of just composes himself for like a split second. Honestly, he just puts his fist up like that and then gets back into the craziness of all of it. But yeah, honestly, the whole end to that game was perfect, and just as well, because we deserved to win that game. By the way, we've been playing up against the opposition we had and everything. But yeah, massive result for us. And yeah, the first win of the season, of course. Realistically, if I'm going to be honest, it should have been the second win of the season, and we could be joint top with Stoke at this point. But it's the way that football goes sometimes. But we did win that game in the end, and it's going to be massive. Every win's going to be massive for the season. And it's a great change, isn't it? Because years before we would never have got that. So yeah, let's have a look ahead to some of the games that we've got coming up. Obviously, we beat Sheffield United in the Carabao Cup a couple of days ago, and we are through to play Port Vale in the next round. Not the Hollywood fixture that anybody was particularly hoping for, but still, it could be a winnable game into the third round of the Carabao Cup, which is something I don't think we've achieved for a while, actually. My Blues knowledge doesn't go far back as remembering which round of the Carabao Cup we've made it in for the last few seasons. But yeah, what do we think about the Cup this season? Because I think it was it might be me and Josh actually were talking about this. What do we all think to a bit of a Cup run this season? Is it something that we should be prioritising? It'd obviously be massive for the revenue, which Tom Ragner's been very keen on getting for the club. But what do we think? Is it something that should be a sort of a bit of a priority, or is it matter that we don't really lose those type of games?
So yeah, like with League Cup fixtures, obviously it's important to win the games that are in front of you. And I think we saw, didn't we, that Sheffield United game, the team that they put out, and the fact that we dominated them pretty much, and keeping a core of our team together. I feel like that's really important to build up morale within the team and also gel these new players together. So yeah, I'm completely up for a cup run. If it gets us more progress and more of these like bigger games, but obviously the main priority is getting into the Premier League so we can have these big games every week.
Yeah, completely agree. Actually, yeah. Zach, what do you think? Cup run be good?
I think so, and I think there's almost no excuse to not give it a bit of a go when, as we've mentioned, there's so much talent in our team and so much depth that our second team is not far off our first team. So I think if we're able to field such good squads, whether we're in the league or whether we're in the cup, there's no reason why we can't give it a good go. It's not priority, don't get me wrong. The priority this season is to finish in the top 6 and potentially get to the Premier League. But if we can get a few good wins behind us and, you're in the 4th, 5th round and things are looking very promising. So we've got the team, we've got the players to be able to have a decent cup run. We do have a nice fixture going into the second round at home. Port Vale, I know they're on the up a bit at the moment with Darren Moore and having been previously promoted last season, but I still think we can give it a real good go.
Yeah, agreed. I mean, I would have loved to have gone Man United in that second round. In fact, I've thought for a while now that even when we were a bit shit, actually, I thought we could probably beat them. But with the team we got now, if we drew them in the third round, I think we would absolutely murder them, honestly. Because like the way we play and the way they play, I was watching them against Arsenal earlier. They were shocking, like absolutely appalling. Like their whole entire control on the football. Like they played worse than Blackburn yesterday. I mean, like they didn't particularly play great as well. Honestly, I feel like if we played them in the cup, honestly, I reckon we'd take them to the cleaners. Honestly,
hey, that's a bold take, that Tommy. So
I don't see why it is.
United, you reckon we do them over?
They finished 15th last season, and teams that have finished 15th when teams have finished like in the Premier League before, like you know, any team that finishes 15th and then comes down to the Championship, you don't then think, oh God, they're like going to be massive this season. You know, it's like, I don't know. They're still a Premier League team, and they're not going to do as bad this season as I think they will. They did last season. But honestly, I don't see what they can threaten us with. We've got absolutely units at the back in Neumann and Clara. We've got fast players going down the wide areas. And if they got in defence, you know, Harry Maguire, I feel like Ethan Laird and Damari Gray and Anderson would run rings around him, honestly. At Stansfield, I'd go for it.
Hammers to come back to this podcast when we drop Man United in the cup.
We will beat Man United.
Well, the last time you were disgustingly confident over a fixture was Peterborough in the Virtue Trophy final.
I don't remember that one. I don't remember that.
Yeah,
I don't remember that.
I was like, I don't remember this game. It never happened.
I must have missed it, yeah. I remember going to Wembley for one game, but I don't remember that game. That's not what I saw, though.
I admire the confidence, mate. I like it. And don't get me wrong, I think we'll be there in a few years. Hopefully so, in the Premier League, playing the likes of Man United, doing them over. But yeah, for now, I'll stay in our lane a little bit.
No way. Honestly, no. We'll absolutely murder the bastards, I tell you. We beat Port Vale in the second round. They play whoever they're playing, Grimsby or whoever they've got. We'll get them at St Andrews. We'll get them... Honestly, like, if we did that well against Newcastle under a team that's since gotten better, and Newcastle are a miles better club than United, a better team, I should say. But honestly, like, I'm telling you, if we played the way that we did against Newcastle in a cup game against them, in the current position they're in, we would absolutely take them to the cleaners. There's no doubt about it in my mind. I guarantee it would happen.
So with that in mind then, Tommy, Port Vale for Blue should be no problem.
No, I'm not saying it shouldn't be no problem. It's obviously every game's going to be difficult, and if we played Man United, it would be difficult as well. But if we play by the standards that we can set for ourselves, like we did against Newcastle, because you imagine, honestly, if we beat Port Vale, which is not going to be any easy task for a like of it, you know, because Port Vale are a well-run club, good team, and they'll, you know, kind of like Sheffield United, you know, they'll be up for it, you know, because they're playing us as well, so they'll be really up for winning the game and everything. But if we draw Man United in that third round, the atmosphere at St Andrews will be absolutely off the chart. Everybody will be so excited. And it was mad when we even played Newcastle. And if we play like we did against Newcastle, with the new upgraded team that we've got against Man United, who are not as good as Newcastle are even now, then I think all the calculations add up, doesn't it? You know, I feel like we'd win, and we'd win quite comfortably. I honestly... They're probably the only big club out there that I would say that about. I don't think we'd do the same against Spurs, definitely not against City or Liverpool. You know, if we played those type of teams, then it would be a similar sort of Newcastle one. But yeah, I honestly, up against some of those bigger teams like Liverpool and City and Newcastle and Spurs, you know, if we or Arsenal and those teams, that would be a much more difficult game. But against Man United at the moment, I'm just saying, I don't think that they're that much of a threat. I've got Man United fans as well, so I am kind of I've got Man United friends as well, so I'm sort of winding them up a little bit as well. But still, I don't see the threat that they could bring to us, really.
And the fact you're even saying that just shows how far we've come in such a short space of time. That, I mean, we've said how many times, how many talented players we've got in this Birmingham team, and it is just ridiculous. I mean, the fact that the likes of Bielik and Alfie May are leaving recently just shows how stacked our team is. And I think, to be fair, the teams Davis is putting out is pretty spot on. He kept it the same as he did against Ipswich. I think that back line is spot on in Cochrane there, Newman, Clara and Allsop. And I think we haven't put this in the running order, but I think Clara becoming captain as well is probably right. Yeah. I'm sure you'll agree, but such a commanding defender, such a big voice at the back. I think to have him as club captain with Bielik leaving is the right decision. I think the two holding midfielders in Paik and Iwata, both excellent. Is there a case to say Tommy Doyle should be implemented into that midfield in some way, do you think?
I think so, yeah, because Kyogo, I think maybe you could have a bit of a rest in the next game, definitely. And I think as well against Oxford, it'd be good to control the possession and the tempo in the midfield. So it'd be good to get a real control, because I think the front line that we've got anyway is absolutely solid, you know. So we could also bring Kyogo off the bench as well, which is a mad substitution to make, you know. So that'll be I think that's wise to do against Oxford. This video is proudly supported by RM Risk Management, providing a comprehensive range of services tailored to UK property managers. Visit rmriskmanagement.co.uk to ensure a secure tomorrow. Okay, so we've lost Sam. Unfortunately, his dodgy Spain Wi-Fi has let him down. So it is just going to be finished off with me and Zach. But we're pretty much halfway through now, so we'll get cracking on with the rest of this podcast. But yeah, we're talking about the Oxford game. Zach, back over to you.
Yeah, I think in terms of the Tommy Doyle shouts, whether he should be implemented back in, he's such a talented player, isn't he? And he's got so much to give. It's just where he goes. We saw over pre-season, to be fair, Paik playing behind. We've seen obviously Furuhashi, Stansfield sort of switch in between playing in behind. The midfield is where I think we're blessed with so much talent. And even then, we're not mentioning Mark Leonard, who I think is a brilliant player. And if we can keep hold of him, I think fantastic, because there's been talks of him maybe going elsewhere. But I mean, what a footballer. And he's nowhere near the first team, is very unfair to say, but you don't expect to see his name on that team sheet when we're playing championship football, do we? Which is crazy. But I mean, that midfield of Paik and Iwata, I think, is spot on. I'm interested to hear your thoughts on the wingers, because we've obviously got Damari Gray and Anderson seem to be the two. We've got Scott Wright still to come in, who I think is still a little bit, still suffering with injury slightly. We've got Williamson as well. I mean, is Gray and Anderson the players that should be playing out wide?
At the moment, yes, because I'm very much a favour that if players don't underperform when you've got backup, they should stay in the team. And I think the weird one about that is the fact that when we bought Asai Samuel, I think the switch for Laird, obviously he played well in pre-season, but still, I think it was kind of a no-brainer to bring him straight in. But obviously we kept Allsop in goal, Anderson's remaining out on the wing, and Gray's come in. But yeah, honestly, Keshi Anderson, I thought by this time but when we bought him a couple of seasons ago, I'd expected to be, when we went down, I thought he might go then, and we might buy someone else. And then obviously we get promoted this season, thinking we might start to phase him out a little bit. He might sort of drop into the background of the squad, and he may well do soon. To be fair, obviously because age, obviously as players get older, sometimes that can play against them. But honestly, at the moment, he's getting better and better. Like for a player who we signed, I think he was about 30 when we bought him. And even then, it wasn't like a top signing. He'd been playing for Blackpool, doing pretty well in the Championship. Didn't have a particularly great first season with us. Since then, though, he's gotten better and better. He's starting to take players on. He's getting shots on. He's taking more on for himself, and he's picking out different things that, I just never ever expected of him. And last season's a perfect example of the goals that he chipped in with, because he didn't score in that first season, if I'm right in thinking. Obviously, he got that sort of deflected goal against Coventry. Yeah. But apart from that, and then he comes into that League One season taking shots on and getting goals and everything. Like, the player that we've got now is just so high on confidence. And Damari Gray, I mean, like, he's yet to score for us, but he will soon. I can feel it coming. He's such a hard worker. And you can see that he's just burning with passion to go. I mean, that celebration that he did at the end of the game yesterday was just brilliant to see. I love it about him. Because obviously I was talking a little bit about this earlier, but you go to Saudi Arabia where it's not the same as English football, and you come back and you've got the massive away and huge crowds and everything, things that really matter. To get a place in the Premier League's better than anything in the world. So like that feeling just is like, whoa, that must feel unbelievable celebrating like that. And to set the goal up as well is just brilliant. So yeah, I think the winger options are definitely them two at the moment. But if we bring in another wide player, then there might be a bit of competition there. But I just think at the moment with Scott Wright, I don't know, he got a bit of a bad injury against Reading last season, didn't he? And I liked him up until then. But I don't know. It's hard to tell, isn't it, with just the amount of different players that we've got nowadays. Because we might, at one point, if the wide options aren't working, we might suddenly change it up halfway through the season. So there's loads of options through so many different players, isn't there?
Yeah, and I think on Damari Gray, you can tell he's got that just little bit of extra quality. You can tell he's come back with that experience and that Premier League football in Germany, in the Bundesliga, obviously in Saudi as well. I think if you look at Blues' team, you're looking at Stansfield and Damari Gray. You can just tell they're a slight cut above. As we've said, Keshi Anderson has been unbelievable year last year, and he's playing so well so far this season. And as good as he is, you can just tell the likes of Stansfield and Gray just do have that bit more quality and a bit more about them. Yeah, I mean, he's come in and he's done a superb job. And that goal against Blackburn, that obviously Tavares poor corner, headed out, and the way the Blues players just flood forward and the composure from Gray on the wing. So there's that opportunity. I'm not sure who's rushing in at the back post. There's that opportunity to swing the ball in. I can't remember who it is, but he just takes that extra touch, and the finish from Dykes is, fantastic as well. But Gray and Anderson, I think, are brilliant. Williamson, I don't want to be ignored. I think I've said a few times in the past on this podcast how much I do like him, and I know he fell out of favour quite a bit last season when he picked up that injury in return, and he just wasn't quite the same player he was at the start of the season. Because if you look at him at the start of the season last year, it was unbelievable. He was contributing to so many goals. There is a very, very good player in Willem Willemsen, and
Agreed.
from a bit of a biased point of view, because as I said, I'm a big fan of him. I do think he does deserve those minutes as well this season. So I hope he's not forgotten about. He came on in like the 86th, 87th. He came on late yesterday, didn't he? And I want him to, a bit like Laird, still ensure he's getting that game time because he's a young player. We spent a good amount of money on him. Very talented. I hope he continues to get those minutes for Blues and potentially even make a push for that starting spot because I do think he's a very talented player.
Agreed, yeah. Is it the hair? Is that what you like about him?
Mate, honestly, there's so much to like about him, but I just think it's his presence as well. He's just that big, broad forward that just offers something a little bit different. You don't tend to see. He plays on the right largely, sometimes in behind, but even when he's on the right, he's sort of drifting inside and into the middle of the park, which I really like. Because it gives Laird that sort of, or when it is Laird, Asai Samuel, that license just to bomb forward as we've seen so far. I like him. I think he's a great physical presence. I think he's a very talented footballer. Very technical as well by the looks of things. I just think he's brilliant and deserves that game time where he can get it.
Agreed, yeah. So how are we feeling for this Saturday's game then? Oxford, they haven't had the best start to the season. Lost both games. They were level when I was checking the scores earlier, but obviously Hull have come back to win the game and then lost the opening game against Portsmouth 1-0. So, yeah, they're managed by Gary Rowett. They've got a few of our ex-players. Luke Harris has obviously joined there on loan, I believe, or they might have actually bought him. I can't quite remember. And then obviously Siriki Dembele as well, another former Blues player who, on his day, is one of the best players in that championship, but he's just never quite had like the stick-to-itness, I think, really. So I think that's one of his issues. But Gary Rowett, obviously former Blues boss, we know how good he can be and how he can grind out results. So, yeah, it's going to be an interesting game, but we do have the home side on our side.
Yeah, absolutely. I think Oxford will struggle this season, to be honest. Obviously, as you said, Ollie McBurney with a late goal against them and losing to Portsmouth on opening day. They haven't bought in too many from what I can see. They signed that Brody Spencer from Huddersfield, who I thought looked quite good against us last season. So I think that's a decent signing. Mark Harris is yet to hit the ground running. In terms of Siriki Dembele, I don't think he's starting, which, as you said, Tommy, on his day, brilliant. But if he's not getting into the Oxford team, it sort of shows that, we were right to let him go, especially with where we're wanting to go. But I think, as you say, home side, at home at St Andrews, I can see us having a bit of a dominating performance and bagging 2-3 goals because this Chris Davies side, we tend to not score. We don't really win games 3-4, 5-0, do we? They tend to be tight, but we tend to be in control a lot of the time. But I think this might be a bit of an outlier. I think with Oxford having a troublesome start and with the way we're playing at the moment, because we started so well, I think it could be a potential 3-0 ongoing. So I think we'll be all right.
Interesting, yeah. I was thinking along those lines myself, actually. I thought there could be like a good opening sort of few games that we can get a couple of goals in. So I think this might be one of them. I'd love to get 3-0, particularly by the the vibe that the club's off of this win. So I'd kind of have to agree with you, really. I'd probably say 3-0 myself. My dad's gone 3-0 as well, so I think people are kind of foreseeing it, really. Is there a chance that Oxford could come and cause an upset?
Yeah, there is, and I think we'll see them defend. I think they've got Michael Heelick as well. He might be captain, I'm not sure, but I think he's been quite used to playing in a 5 for Huddersfield when they signed him. I'm not sure if Oxford set up in a 4 or 5, but I very much get the impression that most teams coming to St Andrews this season will set up to defend. I think that's what we'll see on Saturday. There is a world where Oxford nick it, as we said at the start of the podcast. I don't think it's going to be, anywhere near the successes of last season that we're winning practically every game. I think there's a very good chance we'll get top 6 and there's a very good chance we do go up, but I think it will be far from easy. And I think Blackburn hinted at that on Saturday with nearly beating us and the late goals obviously saving us. So there is a world where Oxford do win the game. Anyone can come to us and get a result on their day. But I think with the talent we've got, the players we've got, and Oxford's troublesome start to the season, I think we'll be fine.
Yeah, I mean, it'd be 3 losses out of 3 for them as well, so they might be starting to push the panic button a little bit. So they might, sort of for our sake, they might try and change a few things up, which might work in their favour, might not work in their favour. Hopefully, we'll obviously be wishing for them not to work in their favour. But I don't know. I can see Jay getting a few goals at the weekend. I feel like he's in that mood now. He's got 2 goals, three goals actually in 3 games, including the cup game. So I think he's going to carry that on. I think he's going to get a couple, and for his confidence, because he seems like a massive confidence player as well. That will be massive for him to go and get another goal and to keep that tally going, because it's how players get their goals up for the season. Just a goal every game, just try and aim for that, and there's massive importance that is, because then, as we found out last season, actually, there was a bit before that we went on that amazing run where teams were starting to become a little bit more confident against us, and they thought they could try a few things. We drew a few games, we lost a couple of games, but then we went on a proper run after the international break, and we were just fully in control then. And you could see as those weeks went on, when so many teams were sitting back against us, that they were like, okay, we've got to respect this team now, because they could hurt us on the break or whatever. But that's why we went however many games unbeaten. I think it was about 13 maybe, or something like that. Something ridiculous like that. But I think that's the same for Stansfield. So if he keeps on scoring, teams will look at him and go, danger man he is. So we'll back off a little bit and give him a bit. They'll give him the respect that he deserves. And as soon as you give any player some respect on the football pitches, particularly when they're as good as Jay, it's just good night, isn't it, really?
Yeah. Absolutely, and I think if there's a player I would like to score outside of Stansfield, it would be Furuhashi, because I think he obviously started brilliantly against Ipswich, looked really strong all evening. And then Sheffield United, he struggled, didn't he? I think he had 7 shots on goal, and obviously none of which came to anything. I think he's an interesting player. We've clearly got an incredible player on our hands in Kyogo. I mean, the fact that Man City have wanted him recently just shows what a talent we have. But I think after that Sheffield United game, and following the Blackburn game as well, where he was a bit quiet and not too involved, I think more than anything, I'd really like him to have a fantastic one against Oxford. Fantastic player, but I think strikers particularly, they need goals. If they want to be successful, be performing, constantly be in the team, they need goals. Strikers are confidence players. If they're not scoring, it doesn't matter how well they're playing, they want goals. And I think Kyogo is very much going to be that player. He seemed extremely frustrated coming off against Sheffield United after having missed a few chances. So I really want him to have a good game if he's to start against Oxford.
He did get a goal, didn't he? He did get his goal against Sheffield United, didn't he?
Sorry, he did. Sorry, he did. Yeah, I think the 7 shots and the tapping is sort of clouded my judgment. He did score, of course.
Yes.
I think when he could have had 3 or 4, he'll be disappointed with that. So hopefully
I agree.
Yeah,
I think so. Yeah, I don't know whether he'll start. I don't think he's. I just think that Tommy Doyle deserves to start by the way that he's been playing. I think it would give us a real good control of the game as well, of 3 in midfield with that 3 up top as well. But Davis likes to change things up and play a few different players. And he's not afraid of trying different things out when, the pressure's kind of on in that way. I think it is a bit of a pressure game in a weird way, because I don't think we'll lose, but I feel like if we win well, it's a great indicator to where we're heading, because we've had a tough game against Blackburn, tough games against Ipswich that we really should have won. It was only because of the ref that it was, ruled out because of us. I think if we were to play really well and win really well, I think then that's starting to open up some doors for us then, because like I was saying about the respect thing then, because we've got Leicester afterwards, who I didn't think looked great in the opening game against Sheffield Wednesday. And people will probably expect, Leicester are going to do well. They've got good Premier League star players. But if we win really well against Oxford, when we come up against Leicester, I feel like they might give us a little bit more respect compared to previous years where they've kind of just thought they're a bit of an average side. We've got Premier League players, we'll go and win the game. So it'll be a massive teller for how the season gets on, really, because obviously there's going to be more of those games come down the line. But yeah, Zach, thank you for joining me, mate. Also, thank you, Sam, for joining us for a brief moment at the start of this podcast.
And then leaving.
I know. Well, honestly, how dare you? No, it's the dodgy Spain Wi-Fi. But yeah, thank you for joining, Zach. It's been an absolute pleasure. Thank you for listening. The Blues Focus podcast is back. We've got a new look to us as well. This might update. I threw this together literally within seconds before we jumped on. I just looked at the channel banner and thought, that needs to be the background in the podcast. That does. So yeah, it might update. We might get the guy designed it to do the background for us, actually. But yeah, things are looking great at the moment. So if you haven't already watched the vlog, you must go and do it. I am not asking you. You must do it. Absolutely. obviously, we'll be doing a vlog for the Saturday's game against Oxford. We'll bring you back the previews. I was meant to be doing the previews until I completely forgot about it as I entered Ewood Park yesterday. I was like, I swear I was meant to be doing something the other day. It's like, yes, it's the match previews. That's what I was meant to be doing. But yeah, Sam will be back on that, keeping it consistent. Because I obviously can't for some reason. But yeah, thank you, Zach, for joining me. It's been a pleasure talking to you. We'll be back next Sunday, or maybe even, no, we will be actually, yes, because we haven't got any games going on this week. We'll be back next Sunday reviewing the Oxford game, hopefully after another win. Be sure to put your put your predictions down in the comments down below, and also anything else that you want to talk about down there. Because obviously we'll be interacting with you guys, and we'll be bringing these up in the next podcast as well. And yeah, be sure to check out all of our brilliant sponsors. We've got Tipple, RM Risk Management, and Tilton Road Shop. And yeah, thank you for listening. Be sure to like and subscribe for more Blues news, and keep right on.
Keep right on.